Part 92. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 914. 9139 Yu Tongxin Lotus. When the young couple left, the little canyon was calm again, and the bodies of dozens of fire-breathing ravens lay quietly on the ground. But under the big tree that did not know how many years have died, a sigh came. There is no such thing as a dangerous heart and a cold world. Yakong didn't come out on the first day. When the woman panicked, he was already suspicious. Hearing what the man said is that the clothes on Xianxia's body are still new, it's even more nonsense. After the demon Jiu died, he would become the original shape. How can he have clothes on him? Some clothes were torn apart. So after Yakong stepped out of their eyes, he stuck himself in an amulet, and then dived back. This invisible amulet is a yellow paper amulet that can be used by mortals, not a magical amulet. It is very suitable to be used in this bite-eating poison. Yakong sighed, followed silently behind the pair of men and women, and walked towards the swamp. For more than 30 years, it is not very close to mortals. Even if the young couple has practiced martial arts, it is very difficult to walk. The road has been gone for a full and a half hours, and the sky has been dark. It's completely dark. Big elder brother should be here now, the woman said worriedly as she approached the swamp. The man's voice sounded. We are walking slowly. It should be his degree. Maybe he is dead in the corpse's hand at this moment. The woman sighed again. I always feel very sorry. Non-toxic and no husband, so you are the kind of women, the man interrupted Leng Hung. The woman didn't dare to say more, and said, it's too late now, will we not encounter drug lords? Hearing the drug lord, the man hesitated and stopped at his feet, but soon he continued to walk forward. Wealth in wealth and wealth, there is no fixed number of drugs, sometimes there are days, sometimes there are no days, we can't be so unlucky. The man's words are comforting his wife, but also comforting himself. They walked for a while, and their eyes opened up brightly. In front of me, there was no longer a tall ancient tree, but a clear pond. The moon was born and reflected in the sparkling water. The scenery at this moment is not bad, but there are many ancient vines with thick arms growing out of the water. The ancient vines are strangely shaped, some like black dragons, and some like pythons. Layer weird. The young couple walked to the edge of the swamp and did not dare to walk forward, quietly hiding behind the tree and watching in the swamp. The man whispered, you can't go any further, you'll be seen by the dead. The woman quietly poked out her head, glanced at her, and wondered, the elder brother Gongfei hasn't come yet? Why is there nothing? The man also wondered, yeah, I can't see anyone, I can't see a dead body, have I died in the swamp? Oh, if that's troublesome, I can't dive into the swamp to find it, it's too dangerous. The woman complained, it hurts others and hurts oneself. You killed yourself, you. The man laughed, that's also no way. I might try this whenever I can. Even if he dies, I don't get his sword, what about it? For us, we suffer, come on? We're not losing at all. The woman said, this is also true. You have lost heart. Yakong Zhong was already furious. It turned out that killing a person so easily is still a benefactor with a life-saving grace, and even if it is not good for him, he must also kill the benefactor. Is this still talk? Yakong immediately appeared, kicking the two into the swamp. But then, a strange sight suddenly appeared in the swamp. What's that? The woman exclaimed slightly. The hidden Yakong also looked into the past. I saw in the swamp a mirror-like surface of the water, suddenly emitting a millisecond of light. That millioptical fiber was as thin as silk, standing straight on the calm water, although small, but very eye-catching. Is there a treasure under the water? The man beamed with greed in his eyes. Don't go, beware of the dead, the woman whispered. No, I'm thinking of a way, the man responded. And in the branches of the big tree, Yekong, who was clinging to the invisibility charm, was also a joy in his heart. Guessing, no wonder there was a dead body staying here, it turned out to be a guardian of different treasures. But looking at the slight light, it was obviously not mature enough. So what do you choose? Who knew it was Yeyongji? The faint light had turned up by 3 points. Yekongli was startled. Could this heavenly earth treasure be born just tonight? Don't know what treasure it is. The pair of men and women are mortal, they have not taken any treasures, and they do not know what was born or not. What they fear is the corpses that have never appeared, so they dare not to do it. Time passed quickly, and the ray of light was getting bigger and bigger. On the flat surface of the water, a white beam of chopsticks was standing upright, which was very weird. Unfortunately, the water surface was ink-colored, and there was nothing visible underneath. The woman whispered, "Sangong, I don't know what treasure it is." The man's eyes stared at the beam of light, and there was depressive excitement on his face. He licked his dry lips and said, "There is such an amazing momentum, it must not be an ordinary treasure, we have reached it this time." As he was talking, the water surface under the white light suddenly moved. The surface of the water, which is like a mirror surface in black, now seems to have a stream of water flowing downwards, as if there is a spring eye below. The woman began to worry again. "Sangong, won't a monster come out?" "Don't talk nonsense," the man cursed, and saw that the water flowing under the water was more violent and stronger, as if the fountain was about to spray water out of the water. At this time, a white light suddenly lit up under the water. The white light rose from underwater, getting closer and brighter. The pair of men and women had wide-eyed eyes, but Yekong, who was standing above the tree, could see clearly that this was a white lotus with the size of a fist and no buds open. There are many kinds of heavenly treasures of the lotus type. Some are very valuable, and some are just worthless street goods. Now it is just a flower, Yekong can't guess which one it is. The fist-sized, bright, white-lighted flowers soon surfaced, like a beacon, which illuminated the surface of the water, and also illuminated the faces of the man and woman, whose faces were full of greed. Yekong's eyes turned, and soon there was something strange on the surface of the water, very small waves, as if something was swimming below. The direction was facing the pair of men and women. Of course, no matter how kind Yeye is, he won't save people this time. Oh, the white light of the lotus lighted up, and a petal of the white lotus flawlessly opened, and then a petal opened. The most important basis for distinguishing lotus-like treasures is the petal number of petals. 18 petals or more are broken leaf lotuses. Refining low-order detoxification medicine is commonly used and is not valuable. The 16 petals are moonlight lotuses. The 14 petals are even more valuable. The 12 petals, wow, you are rich. Of course, it is not as small as the number of petals. The 5 or 6 petals are ordinary lotuses, and the 3 or 4 petals are bitter lotus. Useless, a petal is not a lotus, it is a spatula. In short, 9 petals are the best, followed by 10 petals, and 11 and 2 petals are also very good. They all represent several treasures. The water flow on the water was not moving, and Bachan was counting petals like yet. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. The more Yeye counted, the more he moved. To the last one, he hurried to his heart. 9 petals are really 9 petals. This is the Juyo Tongxinlian, which is already extinct. Yekong has also seen a lot of rare treasures, but the 9 lotus Tongxinlian can make him move. The main reason is that this lotus is the most important material for refining Changshendan. Changshendan, the ancient medicine, each capsule can increase the longevity of 300 years. Many people in Danfang of Changshendan know that no one can make it, because Juyo Tongxinlian is extinct. Some people say that monks are many times longer than mortals. Is it so important to increase life? Then I tell you, it's important. Regardless of the monk's longevity, Zuji is 200 years old, Jadan is 400 years old, and Yuanying is 800 years old. How long is it? Not long. For many monks, time is simply not enough. It's been a few decades to have a baby, and it takes hundreds of years to grow a baby. In addition, it takes time to cultivate and improve in the middle. If you encounter a bottleneck, it will take decades. So cultivation is very tense. Xiao Yuan has arrived. And you have broken it, the result is only death. Seated. People are afraid of death. The older they are, the more afraid they are. The monks are most afraid of death. Therefore, if the elixir that increases longevity is refined, one can make all the great monks in Kangnan desperate. Of course, Juyo Tongxinlian has other functions. When mixed into the detoxification medicine, it can immediately improve the detoxification medicine by several grades. With the mouth it can refresh eyesight and prevent poisons, etc. It's remarkable. Lotus originally has the ability to detoxify and resist poisons. After the Juyo Tongxin lotus is fully bloomed, it is full of brilliance and dazzling, and the white pillar of light pointing directly at the center of the sky is even brighter, like a straight sword, breaking through the heavy fog and inserting into the night sky. There is almost no aura in the lingering poisonous puppet. The strange treasure such as Juyo Tongxinlian was born, and there is no vision of heaven and earth, but this beam of light will still attract nearby monsters. Yekong knows that it's time for his own shot. Yekong hasn't shot yet. Someone shot first. It was the corpse that was lurking underwater. He was waiting here for several years. What he asked for was this treasure lotus. At the moment the treasure was born, of course he would not let the news leak. There was a thunderous sound, and the corpse with dark bodies and water droplets appeared in front of the young couple. They were staring at Baolian and were stunned by the sudden appearance of the corpse. Even the woman forgot to scream. Ugh! The corpse shouted a dull roar, and black-red fangs appeared in the dry mouth. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 915. 911 Corpse and Poison Lotus. The man first woke up and shouted, "Sister, run away." At this moment, he has no greed, he doesn't want a sword, or a lotus, he just wants to live. But it's too late. Yeah, the corpse yelled again, and the dark, dry hands grabbed the man's feet and drew into the water. No, the man shouted in horror, grasping a grass root with his hands, struggling like crazy with his feet. But how can he compete with the corpse? The corpse screamed like a sigh of sarcasm, and slammed it again. Ah, the man, like a rag pocket, was pulled under the dark water. Xiangong, the woman had just taken 2 steps, and the man was dragged away. She hurried back again and yelled at the water. But in response to her, only the air bubbles from the water and the blood water tumbling. That guy must have regretted it before he died. But is regret useful? Give him another chance, he will still choose this way. His greed has lost his nature, and sooner or later he will lose his life. Yekong's heart sighed, not afraid to delay. While the corpse was underwater, he drilled out of the bushes, and his toes drew from the roots of the tree trunks, like a blue shadow, jumping directly from the tree into the swamp. At this moment, his invisibility had expired, but he couldn't take care of it anymore. Toes once again stood on an ancient vine in the swamp, ran 2 steps along the ancient vine, leaped again, and flew straight into the center of the swamp. Although underwater, the corpse saw clearly. Unexpectedly, another person was hiding in the dark, and suddenly shot at this moment, which made the corpse angry. He was going to bite the man and catch the woman, but it was obviously too late. Oh, the corpse rushed out of the water, blood-red eyes glaring at Yekong's back. However, it was too late to chase Yekong. He looked around and got an idea. Boom, the corpse slammed a fist in front of it. Someone with that arm had a thick arm, and there were no problems with 3 or 5 people standing on it. Already. Roar, the corpse shouted another roar, holding the vine in his hand, using the vine as a long whip, with paper strips of leaves, drawn against the back of Yekong. Yekong felt the wind in his head. He had already come to the vicinity of Juyotong's Inlian, but he couldn't care about the picking. He turned over in a volley, and the night dance in his hand vigorously split back. Oh, Gutto was split into two. Yekong didn't dare to stay too much, and his toes were a little bit above the water. He turned over and wanted to turn to Baolian. But the corpse was not idle. He spent a long time with Baolian and knew the situation better. As soon as he got into the water, he probably grasped the rhizome of Juyotong's Inlian. He pulled the rhizome and fled to the other side of the swamp. Yekong turned around and reached Baolian, raised his hand and grabbed it, but grabbed an empty one, and the lotus floated on the water. Good boy, don't go. Yekong stepped on his toes and chased away on the water. And on the shore of the swamp, the man's torn body had surfaced, and the woman pulled the man's body up and cried loudly, as if the treasure-robbing scene in front of her had nothing to do with her. The corpse was familiar with the surface of the water, and was very fast in the water, dragging Juyotong's Inlian to swing on the water. Yekong chased after him, but there were too many ancient vines on the water, and he stretched his hands several times without catching Baolian. Yekong was a little anxious, and now he has gone deeper and deeper along the swamp. If it attracts powerful monsters, it will be even more troublesome. At the moment, he is in a certain shape, standing on a U-shaped ancient rattan, with a finger on the storage ring. Other storage rings and storage bags are unavailable here, but the storage rings left by Wuxing Senran remain unaffected. Yekong took out a white jade porcelain bottle, opened the stopper, and he thought, but did not respond. He had to say, "Come out." Soon, a row of small tentacled heads emerged from the bottle mouth. Dozens of gold-winged ants are contained in the bottle, which was prepared by Yekong before he entered the poisonous puppet. Here too, the spirit beast bags cannot be opened, so Yekong packed them in vials and put them in the storage ring. Of course, Yekong has ordered them with his heart, and he is not allowed to eat them, otherwise they would have been swallowed by this vial. It is only in the devouring poison puppet that the consciousness cannot be used, and Yekong cannot control them with his mind. Fortunately, these dozens of gold-winged ants are the first generation of ants selected by Yekong. After more than 100 years of rearing, they can already understand people. Yekong said, "Go to the water and destroy the corpse, and return immediately after the destruction. There must be no mistake." Dozens of golden-winged ants turned into a bit of golden light, and penetrated into the water, making a subtle sound of water. How did the golden-winged ants dry? Yekong couldn't use the consciousness or know, but soon, I saw that Juyotong's in lotus had stopped on the water, and the white lotus was full of light. All of you are mine is mine. Yekong smiled proudly, skipping a few ancient vines, just as Baolian was next to a rattan close to the water. Yekong just wanted to reach out, but suddenly retracted his hand. It doesn't seem to be Juyotong's Inlian, but... Yekong groaned for a moment, and his face was surprised again. It seems to be Juyomok's Inlian. Fortunately, I did not touch the flower core with my hands. The 9 Yutong's Inlian and the 9 Yumo's Inlian are only one word apart, but their usefulness varies greatly. Juyotong's Inlian is a good anti-poison and anti-drug, but Juyomok's Inlian is an extremely powerful poison. These two lotuses have exactly the same appearance, the only difference is the buds in the flower core, one is tender yellow and the other is black as black. However, although these 9 Umoxi Inlian are poisonous, they are also a rare treasure that has been extinct for a long time. In terms of value, they are even more precious than Juyutong Xi Inlian. Juyomok's Inlian is so precious because of its unique toxicity. Legend has it that after this poison, no matter what your cultivation behavior is, you will immediately drop an entire realm, and from then on, no matter how you cultivate, you will not be able to ascend. If you want to detoxify, it's easy to eat, and then eat a piece of petals of Juyemoxin lotus. This petal is like a switch. Take a petal and drop it, and then eat a petal to recover. Of course, such a poison, Yekong dare not touch, let alone a realm. Even if he dropped 1 layer or 2 layers, he could not stand it. Yekong took out 2 inferior artifacts from the storage value, and took out the Juyemoxin lotus, and now there is a slender powerful root under the lotus. Just now the corpse was running with its roots. Yekong is even happier, with the root whiskers, it means that more Juyotongxinlian will appear in the future. Take it back and cultivate it with interest soil. Wow, you're rich. You can sell 1,000,000 petals for a single petal of black demon. Yekong raised his hand and swept above Juyemoxinlian to collect this eternal poisonous lotus. Then he opened the stopper and put away the gold-winged ants who had returned from the task. As for the corpse, Yekong didn't go to check. As a corpse, it has been dead for thousands of years, and there will be no good things and no way-finding tokens. After collecting a poisonous lotus that has already become extinct, Yekongli thought, the monks and monsters in this biting poisonous urn did not dare to walk around, which means that no one has ever gone in many places. Is there a lot of legend? Where is the heaven and earth treasure in China? But before he could think of beautiful things, suddenly a soft and refreshing wind rose on the water surface of the swamp. The wind at night is really comfortable, Yekong sighed, but then remembered something. No. Here comes the poison. Yekong did not dare to neglect, skipping the ancient vines in the opposite direction of the breeze. But after a tea, when he stood on the other side of the swamp, it was already foggy opposite. Your ancestor, where did this drug lord come from? Yekong had to change direction. But it didn't take long before the fog was still there. No, it was surrounded by drug lords. Yekong stunned for a moment, but he wasn't afraid. According to the inquiring news, as long as he hangs the Luyin token on his body, he can be protected from drug lords. To avoid being attacked, Yekong affixed another invisibility to himself. But he was surprised, and the invisibility also seemed to have failed. It looks like there is going to be a fierce battle. Yekong took off the night dance from behind and slowly walked into the poisonous puppet. Entering the poisonous urn, Yekong appeared in surprise, and the luminous token on his waist lit up, illuminating an area in front of him, and around his body, there was an area where the poisonous urn could not invade. It's just that the pore range is so small that it just covers his body. If he wants to take someone else, it's not enough. No wonder the village chief said that 1 token per person was required. Yekong walked forward for a while, and now this token is indeed useful. Wherever he goes, the drug lords of them have subsided, as if he was wrapped around a protective layer. Oh, a beast roar suddenly came from the mist in front of me, low and fierce, and blood-red eyes emerged from the grass. Our ancestors are stubborn. Yekong ruthlessly slashed the other side in 2 and half, a rabbit dares to impersonate a tiger, so impatient. In the poisonous urn, all the monsters have become crazy, and the popularity of rabbits and mice is extremely arrogant, but these things are not crazy. Yekong has good luck, and he has not encountered too much mutant monsters. To kill, I also used rattan to bring the corpses of monsters that could be used as food, and brought them back to Sunjia village. Don't make people feel that they live in the village for nothing. He walked along the edge of the swamp, remembering the way he was when he came. At night it was dark and poisonous, so the view was not very good. Visibility is only a few meters. Although the lunar tokens around the waist are bright, they not only fail to follow the road, but continue to attract the monsters. Yekong walked while killing, and sighed in his heart, the crazy monster in the poisonous urn, but that's it. After walking for a while, he suddenly saw an incomplete corpse in front of his feet. He took a deep look and saw that it was the man who had just been dragged and killed by the corpse. Where's that woman? Yekong made a sudden move, stepped on his heel hard, and jumped Su after he slumped. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 916. 9/15 Variant Woman. Oh, somewhere came a sharp-edged knife, pinned to the position where Yekong had just stood, shaking in the mist. It's really dangerous, and people's hearts are not ancient. Yekong smiled lightly, stood stubbornly, throwing away 10 man in his hand, and clenched Night Dance with the other hand, and said, "Girl, save your couple under the care of you, not thinking of you waiting for repayment, but I didn't expect that you would be deceived by you and wait to be desperate. Even so, I didn't wait for you to take a shot. I didn't kill you, but you were angry at me? What happened to your death in the hand of the corpse? You have been planning our plans long ago, but you are hiding behind us." Dang, Yekong led her to speak, looking for her position. As soon as she made a noise, Yekong immediately shot without mercy. You don't need to be polite to those who are willing to revenge. More importantly, she is no longer alone. The Night Dance was cut out like electricity, a few ignition stars appeared in the mist, a dark shadow flashed away, and a chopped dagger was dropped. There was also an arm that was severed. You are fierce enough. The woman covered her arms, and her eyes, which had become blood red, looked at Yekong in a vicious manner. I have done my best, and now you are going to kill me. I am going to kill you too. Nothing to say. Yekong raised his hand and pointed at the woman with the Night Dance. The woman's right hand was cut off, but her face was not panic-stricken. Apparently she had become crazy under the influence of poisonous maggots. Well, the woman raised her head non-human roar. Then, her body changed amazingly. I saw her exposed skin, face, neck, and lower abdomen, all producing dense scales. The scales are about the size of nails, dark as ink stains, one piece after another, as if the whole body is covered with a layer of weird black armor. The woman had a somber face and looked at Yekong. Because of the mutation, she had lost her ability to speak, but just had a monster-like roar from her throat. The most bizarre thing was that her half-cut arm had stretched out a blood-red tentacle. That tentacle was like a flexible snake, shooting lightningly at Yekong's arm, trying to tie the Night Dance. Go to death, monster. Yekong turned around at night, avoiding the tentacles, and waved them fiercely, cutting the tentacles with a knife. The woman could not feel the pain, and her scales were all over at the moment. She fell down like a leopard, and roared again in her mouth, swooping up. Look for death. Yekong didn't dodge. Yewu turned into a black streamer, with huge power, cut out at a strange angle. However, after the woman was mutated, the scales on her body turned out to be unusually hard. The Night Dance was chopped up, as if it were chopped on gold and iron, and the sound of sparks was radiant, but it did not hurt her at all. Roar, the woman couldn't get a single blow, and roared again, and fell to the ground like a cheetah, staring at Yekong with blood-red eyes. After the mutation, it is really difficult to deal with. Yekong didn't dare to entangle with this woman. It would be even more difficult to deal with any powerful mutant monsters. Yekong had a storage ring and wanted to take out the gold-winged ant again. But at this moment, there was suddenly a feeling of extreme danger rising from his feet. Flash! Yekong flashed aside. It turned out that the woman was lying on the ground, not actually resting, but dived the tentacles from the ground. Sure enough, I saw the ground where he stood just now, and even a flesh-red tentacle was stretched out. That tentacle moved very fast, did not attack Yekong, and chased Yekong like crazy. Well, Yekong slashed the tentacles with a stab. The tentacles that fell on the ground were still twisting wildly, like a crazy red snake. How weird and strange the scene was. Oh, another red tentacle came out of Yekong's feet. The snoring kept ringing, the tentacles were constantly drilling under the ground, and the degree was extremely fast, as if I knew that there was something dangerous in Yekong's small bottle, but he didn't give Yekong time. After a while, the ground in front of Yekong was filled with red tentacles, each one tall, and those tentacles were like ugly trees growing underground, ugly and horrible. Cough, Yekong simply jumped up in a shadow dance pose, spinning like a gyro, and jumped directly onto the branches of an ancient tree. After standing, he put the small bottle back into the storage ring and hummed coldly, "Monster, do you think I'm afraid of you without the gold-winged ants? Tell you, you're wrong. Yema's way to kill you is 1,000,000,000, let's die." Huaying cut. At the moment of leaping, Yekong suddenly felt something, thinking that the Emperor Qi Tian had already cast half of the shadows, he also realized half of them. The shadows did not appear, but the shadows succeeded. I saw a ghost cast out like electricity, leaving a string of light and shadow in the woman's blood-red eyes. She didn't have time to escape at all, and in the blink of an eye, Yekong's shadow had appeared above her, and the black sword in her hand was held high. Go to death. Boom. Yekong struck with all his strength, the soil turned and the ground was knocked out of a large pit. The woman screamed strangely, was blown out, made a loud noise, and fell into the swamp. The woman was hit and all the red tentacles on the ground disappeared. Yekong turned over, jumped down from the tree, stood beside the swamp, and frowned, "Did you die?" Wow! The sound of the water surged, and the woman was still dead, trying to climb up into the water with embarrassment. Yekong held up the night dance and just wanted to make another strike. But who knows, it was another huge sound of water, and a huge mouth appeared suddenly behind the woman, swallowing the woman into her mouth and chewing. Rhino. Yekong's eyes narrowed, but he did not expect to meet a rhino. This was originally a fierce monster of the upper grade. Now, under the action of the poisonous lord, the grade is naturally improved. However, let's run quickly. 5 days later. In the high wall of Sunjiakan, a teenager was standing upright, staring at the stone pillar array in front of the village, standing beside him, a wolf-headed guy. "Boy Sun Xiao, don't I say, you don't have to worry about it, my master's story, which can't be said for 3 days and 3 nights, what a poisonous monster, but it's just a drizzle, he will soon." Enron returned for a few days. Xiaofeng Wolf King and this boy were quite speculative. Sun Xiao said anxiously, "Will brother Ye take me as an apprentice?" Xiaofeng Wolf King looked at Sun Xiao and shook his head, "You are not a monk, you don't even have the spiritual root qualifications, no." Sun Xiao busily said, "It doesn't matter. I just need to learn his martial arts. I don't want to learn those immortals. I just need martial arts." Xiaofeng Wolf King still shook his head, "The master is busy going to Heilongchange. How can I teach you martial arts?" Sun Xiao said, "I will not learn for nothing, I will pay tuition." Howling Wolf King laughed, "Tuition fees? You people can't even eat and drink, what good things are there for tuition fees? What will the owner think of you? Stop dreaming." Looking at the two figures on the wall talking, in the dark corner of the corner, one figure flashed. Then the figure disappeared. Tuck tuck tuck, the knock on the door rang. Cao Muse, who was meditating, quickly stood up and said to herself, "Wolf King, how can you be so polite today?" But when Cao Muse came to the door and looked, there was a black man standing like an iron tower. Cao Muse was startled and stood behind the door and said, "Who is coming?" "It's Sun Jiachan, who is immortal." It's no wonder that all the women in the bitter poisonous are black. Which one is as white as Cao Muse? Therefore, this guy must succeed in all his thoughts, but the Xiaofeng Wolf King always does not go out. Today he has a rare opportunity and he hastened to come. Sun Jiachan snorted and sighed, "I want to see my wife for something. It is inconvenient to open the door, something to say outside." Cao Mose knew that this guy was not good, and of course he would not open the door. Sun Jiachan smiled and said, MRS, there is really something going on. There is something really going on outside. Sun Jiaqin hummed coldly. MRS thought that a wooden door could stop Sunmo. Cao Muse also sneered, as long as you dare to break in, you will die. Must die no doubt, Sun Jiaqin laughed and said, well, I will die no doubt, then please ask my wife what is in my hand. Sun Jiaqin's black fist reached in front of the door gap, and his 5 fingers spread out. I saw a white jade token lying quietly in the palm of his hand, with abstract lines drawn on it, and a black dragon pattern. Cao Mose looked startled. Lu Yin token. Sun Jiaqin held his fist and put away the token, and said, MRS should believe Sun's sincerity. According to what I know below, your man is taking risks outside now, and what he is doing is just this token. There was no sound, Sun Jiaqin said proudly, but I can tell his wife that he will return without success. He may even be buried in a beast. Cao Muse was worried that Yekong was Sun Jiaqin said that she was furious immediately and did not explain that Yekong was not her man. Roared, nonsense, he must return safely. Sun Jiaqin laughed, well, even if Enron returns, you will definitely not find the token. As long as your wife meets the following conditions, Sun will send the token to avoid your man's hard adventure. Wouldn't all be happy? Although Cao Muse probably knew the person's thoughts, he was still fluke and asked, what do you have? Sun Jiaqin laughed, MRS Sun's mind understands that Mr. Sun only pleases his wife and rejoices. Just once, Mr. Sun willingly sends the tokens. You dream. Cao Mose didn't expect this guy to say such shameless words to his face flushed with redness, his swollen, and cursed, go. Wait for my man to take your life. After Cao Muse finished speaking, it was not right, and she suddenly said Yekong was her man, and she suddenly jumped up and down in her heart. To the reader. One more chapter, in the afternoon. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 917. Control the situation. Sun Jiaqin didn't give up, and he persuaded, people say that a good wife doesn't suffer misfortune. If your man can't find a token, he won't give up. Even if he comes back, he still has to go out to find him. Sooner or later he will die in the monster mouth. As a good wife, you should be considerate of him and share his worries. In fact, it is not just playing, I do nt say you do nt say, who knows, you do nt lose anything, take off your pants and let me do it. Sun Jiaqin became more and more embarrassed. Cao Muse had heard people say such things in person, and was immediately furious and roared, roll and roll. You, a beast-like person, you die this hard. I always have if you do nt get the token, you wo nt succeed. If you are in Kangnan, with these words, you have died more than 10 times. Sun Jiaqin was furious, do you think you are still a high-ranking immortal master? What prestige is you with Laozi? Damn, Laozi is dead today and wants to play with you. Sun Jiaqin was really angry today. He felt that he was sincere. The token of the Black Dragon City was changed only once. I did not expect that the other party not only did not agree, but also told him to die. He shouted, kicked the door with a kick. Wow, the door panels were kicked apart, and Sun Jiaqin had already appeared in front of Cao Muse. Ma'am, don't blame Sun Mao since you are toasting or not eating. What are you doing? Cao Junfan ran out. He just hid in the room and talked to the bronze face. He didn't notice the outside, but the sound of kicking the door surprised him. Get away, Sun Jiaqin raised Cao Junfan with his big hand and slammed him away. The immortal teacher admired by the pitiful tens of thousands, was as weak as a 3-year-old. Boom, Cao Junfan fell to the corner. I fight with you, Cao Junfan pulled out his sword and rushed up again. But how can an immortal master who has no mana defeat a tyrannical warrior like Sun Jiaqin? Clang, the long sword was kicked and Cao Junfen was kicked in the corner again. Cao Junfen was anxious as Cao Muse was pushed into the door of the room by Sun Jiaqin. A voice sounded in my mind, Junfen, do you want to save your aunt? As long as you promise me one thing, I will help you immediately. Cao Junfen shouted in his heart, Uncle Wanli reincarnation, at this time, are you still telling me the conditions? The bronze face said angrily, of course I have to say. Do you think that uncle is nothing to accompany you to play with? The conditions are simple. You promised me to kill Yekong by sneak attack in the future and I will save your aunt. Cao Junfen understood it, this bronze face was by no means a good person, nor was he sincere to help him, not to mention his friend. Friends should be like Yekong, without any reason, at the critical moment, do not give up. Not for any purpose or condition, just because of the sentence, we are friends. You are not my friend. I will not hurt your friends for you, Cao Junfen's psychological roar. The bronze face knew that he was a little impatient, so it would probably be counterproductive, so he changed his mouth and said, well, then, on the other hand, you swear by blood and give your soul to me. How about it? This won't involve you friends. Cao Junfen did not answer. The bronze face said in a sarcastic tone, oh, I thought you were so noble. It seems that you are also a ruthless and selfish person. When you look at your own aunt and insult, you do want to be a little wronged. Cao Junfen, I know you. Forget it, uncle, I'm going to bed. At this time, there was a screaming fight and Cao Muse's scolding in the room. Cao Junfen was anxious, and was excited by the words of the bronze face. He immediately shouted, Uncle! Wait! How? But when Cao Junfen wanted to promise, outside the courtyard, Xiaofeng Wolf King and Sun Xiao came in. This is it, Xiaofeng Wolf King stunned for a moment, and immediately understood. Oh! With a harsh roar, the howling Wolf King immediately turned into a shape, a plump blue wolf, banged open the door, and rushed into the room. Xiaofeng Wolf King was really angry. He had patted his chest in front of Yekong before. He didn't expect to go out in a circle and got into an accident. In the room, Sun Jiaqin was pressing Cao Muse on the bed, and he did not expect that the Wolf King would return so quickly. However, he also got martial arts. When he saw the Wolf King coming, he quickly released Cao Muse, jumped onto the big table, and jumped out of the window. Well, don't go, the Wolf King roared out of the window. Not good, Dad, please go and see it. Sun Xiao hurriedly went to see Dad and said, Dad, the Sun Jiaqin just wanted to go to the indecent Ye brothers woman. Just as the Wolf King went back, the Wolf King was furious, running around his village. But Sun Jiaqin is there. What? Bastard, Sun Wenfu ran out with an angry drink. It was getting dark, the flames were burning, and crackling sounds were made, and Cao Muser had been trapped in the small courtyard for a long time. In the morning, Howling Wolf King chased Sun Jiaqin's village, but finally angered the whole village. No matter what, these talents are innocent, Sun Jiaqin is their protector, is the protector of the small village. How can these people help Cao Muse talk to them? In addition, Sun Jiaqin's father wanted the elders in the village. Under some confusion, all the villagers came out with weapons and surrounded Cao Muse in the house. Otherwise, they were not suppressed by the village head Sun Wenfu and Sun Xiao. These villagers did not kill Cao Muse and other people, but also expelled them from the village. A black and fat woman outside is Sun Jiaqin's aging mother. At the moment, she is arrogantly swearing, and swearing. She is upside down in black and white, and it is said that Sun Jiaqin was seduced by Cao Muse. In fact, the villagers knew that everyone knew what Sun Jiaqin was doing. Even the women in the village, even those who had become married, had not been slept by him. However, everyone knows that they can't beat Sun Jiaqin, and they also need to be protected by Sun Jiachan. In this place, morality is no longer important, what is important is strength. It was getting late, and the situation outside had changed again. Those roars had changed from driving them out to collusion between the village head and them inside and out. Obviously, the elders were ready to seize the opportunity to seize power. Inside the room, Cao Junfan said anxiously, "Why Yekong didn't come back? It is really anxious. If he comes back, these will not be a problem." After the morning, Cao Junfan had already seen who his friends were. If it weren't for the Wolf King's return at a critical moment, he would have sold his soul to the Bronze Face. However, the Bronze Face did not annoy him because his heart demon would grow when the other party's mind was not firm. In the morning, Cao Junfan's mental instability had already made his heart demon grow a lot. The village chief Sun Wenfu smiled bitterly, "The old man will be dragged into the water by you. In fact, it is not his morality. The key is that he knows that even if he stood by Sun Jiachan this time, he did not end well. In the future, he must be poisoned, so he has to bet on this side. Cao Muse has lived for more than 100 years, and has never suffered from such grievances. Listening to the fat woman outside swearing scum and the like, she is really ashamed and angry, and she can't go out with them desperately." Howling Wolf King was depressed. "Damn, my husband has lived for so many years and has not encountered such a depressing thing. I was actually stuck in a house by a group of mortals and did not dare to go out. I am so angry." Sun Xiao also sighed and sat on the bed and said, "I don't know when Brother Ye will return, it seems that he has only to wait." They wanted to wait for Yekong to come back, but the elders and others outside could not wait any longer, and they were ready to solve Cao Muse and others including the village head and son together today. A strong man in the crowd shouted with a torch, "The village chief and I are no longer in the same mind. He is now an outsider. They are collusion inside and outside, just want to sell our village. What are you going to do?" "Kill them," responded to the already arranged crowd. "Let's go together and drive thee out to kill." The fat woman was jealous that others were more beautiful than her, and it was even worse at the moment. The villagers also held their arms and followed a loud call. The situation was very critical. But at this time, the village entrance was dark and convenient, but a sneer came. "What are you doing here? Have a party." A dark shadow slowly walked over, slowly walking into the area illuminated by the torch, and gradually revealed the figure of a young boy in Xianxia. He dragged a long rattan in his hand, and dozens of various monsters hung behind it, the corpse of the beast. "Brother Ye is back," Sun Xiao shouted with joy when he saw it from the window. Today also happened to be a coincidence. Sun Xiao's men Zhang Sanli Si were assigned to guard the gate. When they saw Yekong coming back, he quickly opened the door to greet Yekong, and simply told Yekong about it. Watching Yekong return, all the villagers stopped talking. There was no sound except the crackling sound of torches on the field. They have seen the rattan dragged by Yekong. There are many powerful monsters there, and Yekong's strength can be imagined. "Rush in and kill them." "Why don't you rush?" Yekong dropped the rattan, walked over slowly, walked in front of the fat woman, and asked coldly, "Slut, tell me, who is bitch?" The obese woman was frightened by Yekong's momentum and was afraid to talk. "Who is a slut?" Yekong suddenly burst into a drink, scaring the obese woman back 3 steps, looking at Yekong in horror. However, Yekong obviously didn't want to forgive her. He moved his body and put a yellow paper charm on her body. The yellow paper charm spontaneously ignited in the wind, and the flames burned on the woman's body. This is a charm of true fire of samadhi. It engulfed the obese woman in a blink of an eye. The obese woman snarled and rolled down, and the villagers who watched were shocked. The monks' spells cannot be cast here, so the talents here worship martial arts so much, but at this moment they are surprised to see that the monks actually have the spells used here. It seems that the god of plague has changed his temper recently, and he is very polite to others. Some people dare to bully Lao Tzu's head. Kong snorted again, took out a vial and shouted at you, the fiercest ones I call just killed me. Among the villagers, those who supported the elder frightened and ran away, but how could any gold-winged ant fly quickly and buzz over, and after a while, those people fell to the ground and became corpses. By the high wall, a dark shadow jumped down smartly and shouted with a voice in his head, "Daddy, jump, I'll follow you." An old man holding a cane sitting above the wall, whispered in his mouth, "I didn't expect this kid to be so evil and can use spells here. Fortunately, we have time to escape when we stand outside, while there is no poison let's go to Xianxia village." But at this moment, more than a dozen people holding torches suddenly emerged under the wall, leading a teenager in Xianxia to come over with his arms. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 918. September 17th. Beast Monster Beggar. It's really unexpected. This Sun Jiaqin actually has a looting token in his hand, which is also a gain. Kong killed Sun Jiaqin and the elders Dang Yu, and got his looting token, but he still needs a peace token. Cao Muse sighed, "Fortunately, you come back in time, otherwise the consequences are really, oh, I did not expect that I would be forced to such a day." Kong haha laughed, "Don't be upset, after all, there are few places like biting poison, and monks are nothing without spiritual power. At the beginning, more than a dozen head infants in Kangnan were trapped in our mixed UN. Where is Zong's apps?" Cao Muse nodded and looked at Kong, and suddenly thought, she said that he was his own man, her heart was beating involuntarily. And Cao Junfan asked, "Kong, your yellow paper charms are so special. What are these spells, why aren't we recorded in the Yun Fuzong's classics?" Kong laughed, "This is a spell that our mortals use to cure diseases. Power and magic cannot be compared. The advantage is that this paper amulet does not need spiritual power to drive, and mortals can also perform." Sun Xiao was overjoyed, and fluttered to his knees in front of Kong, and said with a ho, "Brother Ye, I want to worship you as a teacher and practice this kind of mortal charm. It will humiliate Master S reputation." Sun Xiao is a smart boy. Kong has agreed yet, so he is called Master. Kong shook his head and said, "It's not that I won't accept you, but I will soon leave here, and how will I teach you in the future? This teacher is famous." However, Sun Wenfu also kneeled down suddenly, "Then please ask Xianxia to stay a few days to teach my son, and even though Sun Jiaqin and others are destroyed, Sun Jiaqin is more dangerous. Come into the village, I am afraid that the villagers will be seriously injured." Kong still shook his head. To teach Sun Xiao Wugong, 3 years may not be effective. How can he have time? As soon as Sun Wenfu gritted his teeth, he took a thing out of his sleeve and said, "This was passed on to me by my father for decades. I heard that it was obtained by a dead demon Jiu in that year, and now it is given to Brother Ye for schooling." Kong looked and his eyes brightened. This turned out to be a Luyin token of the Black Dragon City. It's really nowhere to go without breaking the iron shoes. Kong worked hard to kill for a few days outside, but found nothing, but did not expect that all he was looking for was in this small village. Kong took the Luyin token from Sun Wenfu and said, "Village chief, although you gave me this thing, I can't agree to your request." Sun Wenfu's heart sank, but he heard Kong say, "However, Kong will not take things for nothing." Kong raised his hand and swept across the small table, and suddenly there was something on the table. A book, a stack of yellow paper charms, and a small sword. Kong said, "This book is a popular martial art mortal martial arts. It is suitable for you to wait for practice. This is not only martial arts, but also the effect is good, and these yellow paper symbols are all mine. What you have done is enough for you to protect yourself for a while, and I will teach Sun Xiao how to use it. In the end, this small sword, although it is only a Chinese product, can be sharp, not an ordinary sword, and I will wait for you. Although Yekong did not agree to stay, the Sun family was very happy. With the practice of physical exercises, the improvement of Sun Xiao's strength is not a problem. Before his strength improved, there were still yellow paper runes to save his life. And that small sword also let Sun Xiao put it down. This small sword weapon is exactly where Huang Quan's ancestors originally contained. Yekong now has a lot of weapons and will not be used basically, so he gave it to Sun Xiao. In the next few days, Yekong taught Sun Xiao to use spells, and instructed some refining experience. However, these days, Cao Junfen doesn't feel very good, because he feels that another self appears in his body, and that self is getting stronger and stronger. He didn't doubt the bronze human face either, just thinking that there was a demon in the practice, and he was thinking that when he went back this time, he would retreat to suppress the demon. 3 days later, Yekong and others finally left Sun's village. Because there were only 3 Luan tokens, Yekong took the Xiaofeng Wolf King into his soul. In fact, even if you let him out, it won't be very effective. He is a soul and cannot cast spells, which is very disadvantageous here. Yekong, Cao Mos, and Cao Junfen walked along the dirt road. They also encountered drug lords and beast attacks on the road, but they were all shocked. Encounter the low-level monsters and kill them directly. When encountering the high-level monsters, Yekong quickly lays down 8 golden light arrays. The eyes of these 8 golden light arrays are all specially made, so they can be used even if there is no spirit stone, and it is just right to use them here. Those crazy monsters not only attacked Yekong, but also attacked and beat each other, so Yekong did not have to worry that the monsters would join forces to attack the 8-gate Jingguang array. After a few more days, Yekong and others finally stepped out of the scope of devouring the poisonous puppet. Finally came out, Cao Junfen exhaled quickly. It's so unpleasant in the devourer poison that you can't use any mana. What Cao Junfen originally thought was that as soon as he came out, he spit out the antibiochemical dragon sword, and then banged around for a while and let it out. But after coming out, the scenery suddenly changed, which made Cao Junfen give up his original plan. Yekong and Cao Muse also froze, watching the situation in front of them. Originally, they had been walking in the mountains, except for the big trees, which were monsters. When they came out, they stood on a flat ground surrounded by fields of spirits. Lingtian is so beautiful that it is full of all kinds of beautiful flowers. When you look away, a sea of flowers is beautiful. Gaze turned to the front, not far in front of the 3, but there was a small grass shed, which had no walls and was supported by 4 bamboo poles. It was very rude, and there was a row of tall stones in the shed. A strange row of people sat on it. Why do we say weird? Because these people are really not human, but they seem to be human. It should be said that they are monsters without complete transformation. Of course, this is where the monsters rule. Many monsters are not strange, and half of them are even stranger. But the key is that these monsters are less than half-shaped, and it feels awkward to see them. For example, on the front stone, a leopard is sitting, his head is not changed, and his tail is also there, but one arm is a human arm, and both legs are human legs, but the feet are claws. These are no longer monsters, but monsters. Look again at these beast monsters, all in rags, impoverished, sitting there sighing and gazing at the village direction between the gaps in Lingtian. Looking at the realm of these beast monsters, they are all pitiful in the lowlands, one by one, which is equivalent to the cultivation of human beings. Cao Junfen said, "We are finally out," which led the beast monsters to turn their heads to watch, but after seeing their cultivation, the beast monsters hurriedly bowed their heads. Seeing this scene, Yekong and Cao Muse looked at each other, their eyes were very confused. Yekong patted Cao Junfen, and then he went into the grass shed alone and sat on an empty stone. Next to him was an extremely thin old beast with a monkey's head. He was sitting only a little bit like a human. Yekong sat down, the beast monsters looked back, and then looked at the village. No one spoke. "Hey, this Taoist, do you speak humans?" Yekong touched his nose and said in his heart, his ancestors were stingy, how could it seem like a curse? Obviously, even if Yekong was abusive, they couldn't understand it, because they really didn't speak and didn't understand people. Can't speak humans, but they can speak beastly. The skinny old monkey grumbling and heard Yekong's eyes wide and small. No way, no communication. Yekong asks Xiaofeng Wolf King again with his divine knowledge, "Hey, do you understand?" The Wolf King shouted, "Speak with chickens and ducks, how can I understand these inferior languages?" "I don't think you can wait any longer," Yekong replied, beckoning Cao Muse and Cao Junfen. The two also hurried over, one sitting on a stone behind them. Cao Muse whispered, "These monsters seem to be as ordinary as our people in Kangnan, but in the village in front, there are noble officials." Cao Junfen interjected, "What people, are our poor people in Kangnan so poor? I think these beast monsters are Hanako who wants rice, and put porridge here." Yekong cursed, "Put your head. Have you seen leopard holding a big bowl of porridge?" Cao Muxi giggled. Cao Junfen touched the back of his head and said, "I just mean that, it doesn't have to be porridge, maybe it's meat." Cao Mose laughed, "I only heard that some good people will pay to open a porridge shop, and put free porridge for the poor, but never listen to anyone who puts meat. The village must be a big good person. Dream you, the place where the monsters gather will only be more cruel, and there is no good person." Yekong snorted, and saw the movement in the village. "I saw a few tiger demon coming out of the village. These tiger demon already have the appearance of human, the only thing that has not changed is the huge tiger head and the tail behind. Unlike the beast monsters in the grass shed, these tiger monsters are all neatly dressed wearing silver armor and a large red scabbard around the waist, looking pretentious expensive. And their cultivation is all over the foundation period." Watching these tiger demon come out, there was a commotion in the shed, and those beast demon all showed excited and longing expression. The tiger demon came in with a golden knife, the leading tiger demon was on his hips, and he didn't know what to say. He drank for a while, and the sitting beasts all nodded. Then the tiger demon patted the storage bag and took out a small white porcelain bottle. Those ragged beast monsters, when they saw the small porcelain vases, all showed greedy expressions on their faces, as if they could not wait to pounce on them and grab them all. Cao Junfen doubted, "Can the bottle contain the cultivated elixir?" Cao Mume looked at those small porcelain bottles again, shaking her head and saying, "This bottle is too small." Yekong whispered, "I look more like heroin." When they spoke, the tiger demon cast their eyes at once. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 919. General Huang. The leading tiger demon was about to break up the small porcelain bottle, but was attracted by the voice of Yekong and others, and immediately looked up, with anger on his face. Obviously he didn't like others interrupting him below. But when he saw Yekong and others wearing the clothes and Xiu Wei, the expression of the tiger demon immediately respected, quickly changed to a humble smile, trot over, salute fists, said in standard human universal language, "Have seen seniors, welcome to the seniors." He spoke halfway, but saw Yekong and others waiting for the Black Dragon City token hanging around his waist. The tiger's head was condensed, so he changed his mouth immediately. It was adults, and adults are invited to rest in the village. Yekong and others are not bound. No matter where they are, Xiu Weijao is a senior. This leading tiger demon is just a midterm Xiu Wei. Of course, they must be very polite to their three ancestors. However, Yekong did not dare to enter the village with them, but asked, "Who are you?" The tiger demon busily said, "Below is a little guard captain under General Huang Yalong of Huaishan village." Yekong was also welcome, holding the shelf and asking, "What's your name?" A hint of doubt flashed in the eyes of the tiger demon, saying, "Three adults, isn't only the demon repair above the Dandan period that can have a name? The base period is built next, how can there be a low name? The Huaidan period is one of the realms of demon cultivation, which is equivalent to the human Dan period. Dare to have these rules." Yekong nodded and said, "It's been a long time since I came out, I forgot it. Then I ask you, what is the small bottle in your hand?" The tiger demon said suddenly, "Sir, this is the water of transformation, do you not even know these, sir?" Although Cao Junfan is honest, but not stupid, he understood that the other person thinks of himself as his own person, so he yelled, "Master, this is testing you. Honestly answer questions." Tiger demon stunned, "So test me? These questions are too mentally handy, right?" He was puzzled and did not dare to say more, and immediately nodded, "Yes, sir." Yekong looked at Cao Junfan with satisfaction, and the boy was a bit anxious. He then asked, "I'll test you again. What effect does this water of transformation have?" The Captain Tiger Monster honestly replied, "The water monsters of this form can change their shape when they drink, and they can also improve their cultivation. For me, waiting for the monster repair is a panacea, so these dogs are so obedient." The cubs in Captain Tiger Demon's mouth are naturally those beasts in rags. Yekong and Cao Junfan looked at each other. "I did not expect that the small bottle was actually filled with the potion of ascension. I didn't really hear of any water of transformation in Kangnan, but I do know if this thing has any effect on the monk." Yekong asked again, "Since the water of transformation is so important, why do you give these beggars?" "Beggar," Captain Tiger Monster couldn't help laughing, and whispered, "Master, these are not beggars, but farmers." Yekong fainted. "These beast monsters have no money to buy any trousers, but they are still farmers. Well, it seems that the days of the beast monsters are also very difficult." "Oh, my eyesight is awkward," Yekong snorted and asked, "These farmers can get the water of transformation? It seems that the water of transformation is not so precious." Captain Tiger Demon smiled, came forward and said, "Don't hide from the Lord, here's water." Yekong was shocked again. No wonder people say that the crows in the world are generally black, and they dare to reach the monster area, and the landlord is also as unscrupulous. Just a small bottle with a big fingernail, which is still watery. Shameless, shameless. Yekong's eyes rolled and he furiously exclaimed, "At this time, what's your general's idea?" The captain of the Tiger Demon indifferently said, "Yeah, where is the share of the city owner enough? Which village does not do this? If the city owner is going to live this year and needs them to plant flowers, this small bottle will not be given to them." Yekong turned his head to look at those peasants again. It was miserable, indeed miserable. No wonder they gave birth to such strange looks one by one. It turned out that Sanlu drank too much. But these have nothing to do with Yekong, he is not yet noble to control the life and death of these beast monsters. He asked again, "Is this far from Black Dragon City?" The Tiger Demon nodded and said, "Far, 500,000 miles, I have never been there." Yekong fainted. "I heard from the village head of Sunjiakan that he had to walk for a few days after he had eaten the poisonous poison. How could it become 500,000 miles? Cao Junfan said again, "How can there be so far? Don't talk nonsense, be careful of your dog head, tiger head." The Tiger Demon was startled and explained quickly, "The owner of the city controls 1 million miles of this floodplain. The Black Dragon City is in the center. Our Huaishan village is at the edge. Of course, it is 500,000 miles. My lord, what is wrong?" Cao Junfan blinked. It seems that the tiger demon's arithmetic is still good, but why does the village chief say that he has arrived in a few days? Probably after seeing their doubts, Captain Tiger Monster said, "You adults want to go back to Heilongjiang as soon as possible. Then you can go to a nearby town. It will be a few days away. There is a teleportation team to Heilongjiang." Yekong and others suddenly realized that it was unexpected that Xiu was so advanced, more advanced than Kangnan University 6. "Oh, this is the case," Yekong waved, "then you continue things." Okay, Captain Tiger Monster just wanted to break up the porcelain bottle, but then turned back. "Three adults, do you want to sit in the village? Our general has held a dedication ceremony today, which is very lively." Xianbao conference, Yekong smiled, but was thinking. The general in his family already has a name, and he must be a monk with more than dandan. Just go. With the strength of the three of them, there is nothing to fear. Yekong and others are also art masters who are bold and stand up and laugh, then go to the village to see your general. Please, here a tiger guard immediately led Yekong and others to the village. When I came to the village, I saw the blue brick walls and clean roads. Although it was not magnificent, it occupied a neat place. I did not expect that the village where the monsters live, the environment is not bad. Yekong followed the tiger-headed demon and asked again, "What is your general, Ziwei? I'd better call him when I meet." The tiger-headed demon said, "My general Huang Yaolong, that is the cultivation in the middle of the transformation, this is the general repair." Yekong and Cao Junfan glanced at each other secretly in their hearts. I did not expect to encounter an old monster in the middle of the transformation, and did not know what was going on. The so-called non-ethnics have different hearts. Yekong is hard to say at this moment, only be alert. Fortunately, these tiger-headed monsters are stupid, so I would like to inquire more about them, and then I can pretend to be one with General Huang Yaolong. Dayu, don't panic. Yekong grabbed the leading tiger-headed demon and shoved a few top-quality spirits in his hand. The tiger-headed monster saw the spirit stone, his eyes lighted, but he didn't dare to accept it. He hurriedly retorted, "Master, you can't do it, you are an adult, how dare I, a little tiger monster, dare to accept your spirit stone?" Yekong laughed, "Anyway, let me be your reward." The tiger demon looked around, then put away the spirit stone, and smiled, "What does the adult command?" Yekong laughed, "Although we are all adults, we are a little bit worse than your general's cultivation. The tiger demon despises you, it is shameless to say that you are one step worse than our general." However, after receiving the spirit stone, he was embarrassed to say anything, but only pretended to listen to it. Hearing Yekong again, I waited for the first time, and I was not familiar with the situation. I wanted to ask you about some situations and see what General Huangda liked and taboos, so as not to annoy the general and everyone would be unhappy. The tiger-headed monster laughed, "Master, these little ones are all clear, in fact, my general's favorite." The tiger-headed monster got to Yekong's ear and whispered mysteriously, "It's a chicken, the general likes to eat chicken, the banquet tonight is 100 chicken feast." "This hobby is quite special." Yekong nodded and asked, "What's taboo?" The tiger-headed demon continued to whisper, "The general most taboos people mention his body. Don't say that, he will turn his face on the spot." Cao Junfan also put his head together and asked, "The body of your general is weasel?" Yekong and Cao Junfan glanced at each other and said, no wonder they love chicken." Yekong asked again, "Then there are not many human monks on your side, do you demon monks dislike human monks?" The tiger-headed monster shook his head and said, "No, we all like human monks. I heard that the word that the lord of the city often hangs on his lips is that he likes human monks the most, but our side is remote, human monks are very little, adults are the first human monks you saw. I heard that there are many human monks in Black Dragon City, including adults and civilians." Yekong again said, then I will test you, how do adults and civilians distinguish? My lord, your test questions are too difficult. The tiger-headed demon laughed. The ones with the signs are the adults, the ones without the signs are the civilians, the ones in the shack outside are the pariahs. I don't know this, it's a fool. You are a fool. Yekong touched his nose and said, you answered very well. Then I will test you again. How can I be an adult, and what are the benefits of being an adult? Tigerhead enchanted and laughed. Master, the easier you ask. You can become an adult when you are high, you can change your name and open a cave when you become an adult. You can also walk around freely, earn money by doing business, and be respected. Waiting for the form, becoming a general, can also govern a party, and regularly enjoy the water of transformation issued by the Lord of the Lord. The degree of cultivation has been greatly improved. Yekong nodded and asked the last question, what about the treasure-raising conference and who is coming? The tiger-headed monster replied, this year is the 200,000th birthday of the Lord of the city, so we want to celebrate it a lot. The general does not want to stay in this small village. He wants to take this opportunity to present a treasure and win the favor of the Lord of the city. He was transferred to the Black Dragon City. So I invited friends from my neighborhood to share the treasures, and exchanged a rare item for the city owner to see. The guests who came were General Genie, General White, and quite a few adults. That's the case, then you lead the way, I'll take a look. Yekong silently dropped the storage ring, hung a storage bag, and followed the tiger-head monster in front of him to the largest courtyard in the village. To the reader. After each explosion, it's a little green and yellow, sorry. Chapter 2 is here. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 920. MRS 19th Black Python. When I walked into the courtyard, I saw flowers blooming inside, green and shady, and the environment was pleasant. After passing through the gate and crossing the Juk Bridge, Yekong and others saw a lot of monster repairs standing on a platform beside the water surface in front. These monsters are not completely transfigured, some bear an animal's head, and some drag a long tail, but they are all luxurious and well dressed. Those beast monsters are clearly divided into two groups. One group is relatively small, but they are all talking loudly and the noise is loud, while the other group is crowded. They all lower their eyebrows and dare not speak loudly, standing quietly laugh at times. Yekong busy looked at Uncle Tianyan, and saw that those noisy guys had repaired in the Dandan period, but the quiet ones were repaired in the base period. Cao Mose looked over there and whispered, it's really unexpected. The monsters are together, just like us human monks. Yekong also smiled, and said in his heart that his ancestors felt like a zoo. He was a bit uncomfortable, but Cao Muse and Cao Junfan just felt strange and did not discriminate against these animals. Demon repairs are also monks. Many demon repairs have boundless magic power, and demon repairs are not necessarily evil. In comparison, demon repairs are much more gentle than those of demon repairers. The tiger-headed demon led Yekong to the platform and stood still, respectfully said, 3 adults, I will go in to pass the general, please adults. Please wait. The tiger-head demon saluted, and walked into the tall house on the side of the platform. This platform is built near the water, with a large house on one side and low water on the other 3 sides, connected by a chic 9-curved bridge to the outside. Yekong stood on the edge of the platform, watching the breeze swaying the willow branches in front of the platform, and the goldfish was swimming in the clear water, and could not help but feel refreshed and sighed, this is exactly the flowers and willows on both sides of the river, all the way up to the mountain. It was unexpected. Good poetry, good love, good literature, came a woman's voice. The voice was crisp, but with a sense of wool. Yekong turned his head and saw a pair of pink embroidered shoes coming up. The little feet were not big. The lake green long dress swayed with the cloth. Looking up, wow, that ying waist is really superb. I'm afraid Cao Mu Se Cao sister Mo Ching couldn't be more than, wow. The waves are so chest, the clothes can't be covered, and the two groups in the clothes are shaking with the movement of the host. Of course, if you don't look at this woman's head, you will definitely be swollen with blood and bloated in the lower abdomen. But when Yekong moved his eyes to his face, Ye almost vomited blood. This woman turned out to be a python demon, or a black python. The head, the scales, the tongue. Yekong repented, and his ancestors were stubborn. Is there any poem? A demon with an antler came to the side of the python demon, and the demon laughed. This mentor is really good looking. It is worthy to make Mrs. Black Scale look at you. I'm envious of you, mentor. I do nt know what aesthetic concept this demon anyway. Yekong wo nt be interested in sex to the python demon anyway. He quickly waved his hand. Good sentence. The author has someone else, not a common person like Yamao who can make it. Mrs. Black Python smiled. Dao is humble. Not humble or humble, in fact, the author of this poem. With the corner of Yekong's eyes moving, he was seeing Cao Junfen rejoicing. In fact, the author is him. Yekong raised his hand and pointed to Cao Junfen. Mean. You are too despicable. Cao Junfen, who was standing aside, did not expect to encounter the disaster of no delusion, and he could not wait to rush up to Yekong desperately. Yekong was very indifferent, and continued, my friend Cao Junfen is a friend. It is a body and a perfect complement to each other. All the work under the bed and the bed is complete. Only Cao Daiu can say this. On selling, Cao Junfen was slightly better than Yekong. Mrs. Black Python suddenly flashed in front of her, and hurried up to her. She said crisply, Cao Daiu is really elegant, and the little woman also makes 2 small poems on weekdays. Why not? Let us go there discuss after unmanned rockery. Study, you might as well cut me. Cao Junfen got goosebumps all over his body, quickly shrank behind Yekong, and squeezed out a smile. In fact, I prefer to, with men. This time it was Ye's turn to goosebumps, and his heart was scolded. This year, even honest people are so shameless. I thought this was all right, but Madame Black Python said again, actually, the slave family didn't mind the 3 people discussing together. Yekong Cao Junfen fainted together. Fortunately, a few maids with rabbit ears came out of the big house to release them. 3 adults, the general invites you in. Oh, okay. Yekong and others could just get rid of the python demon and followed the rabbit demon maid into the big house. As soon as they left, Madame Black Python snorted. These human monks, I don't know what to do. The demon laughed, the Black Python friend, they don't understand the style. I have admired Mrs. Lao for a long time, so let's discuss it with us. The Black Python looked at the deer and said, give me some of your antlers, and Madame will make you comfortable. Then, it's still free. The deer demon heard that, every time this lady of the Black Python acts with a person, she must first ask for the object on the other person, then plant the ban with mystery, and then enjoy the person with it. Prompt the restraint and instantly drain the opponent's power. The demon knows the secret, so how dare he agree? Heartless and daring goods. Mrs. Black Python snorted and asked again, Golden Horn, the general will not even meet us in person, why are you treating these 3 so kindly? Jin Jiao laughed, you don't know that. In fact, this time the general will have another purpose besides trying to find the treasure. The 3 Yekong followed the bunny maid into the big house, and along the way they saw that there were already a large table in the house, apparently preparing a banquet. There is a side door at the back of the lobby. Before the 3 enter, they all smile and look at each other as if they are reminding each other and acting with caution. Oh, the 3 really are human Taoists, please sit down quickly. It was unexpected that Huang Yaolong was not so scary as he imagined, but greeted with a smile from the main seat. Yekong and others took a closer look. Now Huang Yaolong has indeed reached the middle of the transformation, and he has completely transformed. There are no traces of the weasel at all. It was a tall, thin, middle-aged man with a beard and a bit of majesty. People are polite, Yekong and others are also polite. General Huang really looks good, and I can't wait to see the General. Yekong's kind words made Huang Yaolong very satisfied. After everyone introduced the name, they sat down in primary and secondary positions. Huang Yaolong asked, "I don't know if the three of them came to my Huaishan village, what's the matter? If it's not difficult, I would also help one or two." Yekong laughed. "This time we went out of Honghuang to gain some insight. Now we are going back to Heilongqinj, and just happened to pass through Huaishan village." "That's the case." Huang Yaolong nodded and said, "I was just transformed and I couldn't wait to get out of here. I went to Kangnan with a good friend to see, who knows if I didn't know." Yekongqi said, "Why?" Huang Yaolong said, "Although there are many people in Kangnan, the price is too expensive. It's expensive. There are no good things. The most important ones are those who are cunning and swindled. I was fooled, I almost lost my life there. It was really boring." Yekong and others laughed and laughed. All human beings are savvy. These monsters and humans deal with human beings, and they are definitely more disadvantaged. Cao Junfan laughed, "The general has only been there once, and it is inevitable to cover everything. In fact, there are many good people in humans. I've been many times, and—" Huang Yaolong said halfway, waving his hand. "Forget it. In fact, the general invited three of us here today, in order to invite three to listen to a performance." After Huang Yaolong spoke, he gave a high-five slap, and saw a few tiger-headed monsters carrying a gukin, and then the flicker of the fragrance, a delicate figure standing outside the door. Learning from the original Madame Black Python, Yekong and others first went to see the woman's face. I saw that the woman was 2 or 18 years old. Guazi blushed her lips, her eyebrows were like mountain daisies, she looked like a meteor, she had a good looks, and there was no trace of beasts. Yekong wondered, could he also be a metamorphosis monster? He was busy looking at the sky with eyes, and was surprised to see that this woman was the first-level cultivation. Could it be human? Yekong looked at it again, and now this woman is not human, she has anger. But the wickedness is not as strong as other beast monsters, but it is a little faint, which is strange. I've seen several seniors, and the little girl gave you a song after the woman came in, she was a little shy, bowed her head and blessed the three, and then she sat down behind Guqin and started playing. Guqin fiddled with the girl's fiber finger, and immediately sounded like a gurgling sound of high mountains and flowing water. The music was full of ancient charm, and the woman was also proficient in playing the ground. The three nodded frequently. However, Yekong nodded his head, and he muttered in his heart, "What idea did the old weasel do? How many people come in to listen to the music?" Obviously, I was a little confused. After a while, the woman finished playing a song, put her hands down, and stood upright. Yekong looked back, but Cao Junfan was not awake from the rhythm yet. "How well did you play?" Huang Yaolong asked with a smile. "Yes, yes, yes," Yekong nodded quickly. Huang Yaolong laughed, "Yedaiu, don't pretend. In fact, you are the same as the rough people. I don't understand, so I don't feel it." Yekong also laughed, and scratched his head and laughed, "General Huang really is a quick man, and he is really a rough person. If it is a popular song or understand the previous point, if you want to say the Xianxia begs you ancient charm, it is really no idea." The two joked, each feeling quite right and close. Huang Yaolong waved the woman back and asked, "So Yedaiu, Cao Daiu, what do you think of this woman?" Yekong froze and looked at Cao Junfan. Does this Huang Yaolong want to send a woman to herself? The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 921. The 2020 Dedication Conference. I heard Huang Yaolong sigh and said, in fact, this woman is Huang's daughter. It was born to a female monk when Huang went to Kangnan before, but the woman is also a disciple of the high school, elder. Can't accept my identity as a demon. What makes them most unacceptable is Huang's body. Yekong nodded. No wonder Huang Yaolong said nothing when he talked about Kangnan just now, and he still had this sad past. However, it's true that Huang Yaolong's body is a bit inferior. After that, go out, your disciples of the family marry a weasel, it's shameful, too shameful. Hearing Huang Yaolong again said, so Huang was angry and took her daughter back to Huaishan village. Now my daughter has also become Dan. To her, the best practice below is to cultivate with men. Do NT tell you, at this dedication ceremony, Huang also had another purpose to find a Ruyi Lang Jun for my daughter. Although my daughter is a little bit envious, she has half of the human blood, so she always wanted to marry a human man. Our Huaishan village is a small place. Few humans pass by and let her go out to Kangnan. I'm not assured. Besides, even if a man with a good eye meets, they will surely care that she has half of the weasel blood. People will care, do we not care? Yekong stunned and said, in fact, General Huang, who already has several wives and children, is really unsuitable to marry again, and my brother Junfeng said that his wife is twice as much as me. Not only that, if you marry your daughter again, it will be fair to your daughter. Although Cao Junfen scolded Yekong with his mouth full of bullshit, he nodded quickly, yes, it's unfair, it's too unfair. Cao Muse also said, General Huang, as I am their elder, I also feel unfair. You haven't seen how fancy these two boys are. If your daughter chooses one of them, in the future, we must suffer and suffer, and the night of remorse. Huang Yaolong is not a hairy boy, and at a glance, he knows that others are unwilling. Taking his daughter's posture and skills as an example, it is also easy to marry a demon in the same period, but it is difficult to marry a personal man. He was immediately annoyed, his face changed, and said coldly, I don't think our human monk in Black Dragon City looked down on our demon-cultivated woman. Yekong smiled happily, General Huang, where are you talking about? Ye can swear, Ye has indeed a dozen wives. As soon as the sentence came out, Huang Yaolong did not faint. Cao Muse fainted first. I didn't expect that the boy had spent this point. It was really hateful. He even married his two apprentices. Yekong also said, however, General Huang must not worry. Ye also has a lot of good friends and young talents in Heilongchange. It shouldn't be difficult for you to make a statement. When Yekong said this, Huang Yaolong's complexion suddenly improved again, and he nodded, so good, but his mood was still not so good, and then he said, please ask the three to rest for a while. I invite you to wait for the treasure show. Yekong, how dare they stay, and quickly got up and left. Under the leadership of the Maid of the Rabbit Demon, the three were in one, and I saw that there were many people sitting on the round table. It was very lively. Yekong and others were sitting in the middle, and they felt uncomfortable. Fortunately, they were sitting at the main table with a few old monsters of metamorphosis. Although it seemed normal, Yekong was more worried. After the introduction, I learned that, except Huang Yaolong, the metamorphosis monster with a yellow forehead and purple jaw was called General Yaishan, but it was a flower demon, and the enchanting woman beside him was called General Bailingv, and I didn't know what it was. Demon, the two are a pair of twin monks. It was dark and soon. Huang Yaolong said, why hasn't the old man been here yet? The banquet is about to begin. Bai Ling giggled, Lao Huang, don't you not know that the old man is the most sensitive to treasures, and Bachan has encountered some good things. It's too late. Yaoshan said coldly, Lao Huang, shouldn't you just point to the treasures of the old man, look down on me and wait? Where Huang Yaolong shook his hand and nodded. Since the old man is not coming, then he won't wait. Then he stood up and yelled, it's time for the dedication ceremony. Serving. Soon, a dish came up, braised chicken, steamed chicken, roasted chicken, stewed chicken, baked chicken. It was really 100 chicken feast. Everyone had a good talk at the table. Ye Kong and others mainly still listening. I listened to Huang Yaolong and Yaoshan chatting with each other. The banquet was held for a while, and Huang Yaolong stood up and said, the birthday of the Lord of the city, celebrate the city. The general also wanted to send a gift to show our respect for Huaishan village, so today we invite everyone to come and bring out treasures for Ben will choose. Please rest assured that the general's credibility and character are guaranteed. As long as Ben treasures the treasure, whether it is a spiritual stone, a treasure, or a water exchange of transformation, it can be of. After Huang Yaolong finished speaking, the beast monsters below each other whispered, showing joy on their faces. You know, for them, the most important treasure is the water of transformation. If they can get the water of transformation, they can not only complete the transformation early, but also greatly improve their repair. This is their purpose here today. What made them even more excited was that Huang Yaolong paused and said, what the general wants to tell you is that my bid is double the market price. The many beast monsters all shouted in excitement, patted the storage bags one by one, and took out their best treasures, hoping that Huang Yaolong could catch his eyes. I have a bead of water here, but the eyes of top quality monsters. When placed in the water, they can break through the water and form soil. A monster stood up and said first. Many beast monsters sighed praise, said water drops, that is a good thing. But Huang Yaolong shook his head. Ye Kong held the wine glass, and said in his heart that the set of water drops looks beautiful, but in fact there is no practical use. The Black Dragon City Master is a black dragon. It doesn't matter what water is, and of course it was not selected by Huang Yaolong. The beast monster who fixed the drops of water looked dim, and put up the beads and sat down. At this time, another beast monster stood up and said, I have a treasure here, please take a look. When he patted the storage bag, he took out a small umbrella with 7 colors of light in it. It's Gobeo. Many beast monsters widened their eyes, even the 3 old monsters on the main table narrowed their eyes. Ye Kong went to look at the beast demon again. Now this guy is actually the antler demon who talked to him before. He could not think of this guy's buddy repair, and he has an ancient treasure. Feeling Ye Kong's eyes changed, Huang Yaolong laughed, how did Ye Daiyu think of this thing? Ye Kong laughed and said, treasures are good treasures, and if I wait for them, I will be happy for a while. But, what kind of cultivation and vision is the Lord of the Lord, this treasure used to fight? I think there must be more of him. Send one and he won't look at it more. Huang Yaolong and Yaoshan nodded. Think of the city owner as a Mahayana beast. Even when he fights, he does not need to use these low-grade ancient treasures at all. The Banshee Bailing held a glass of wine in front of Ye Kong and laughed, Ye Xiao really looks like a torch. Then, may I ask, what kind of treasures does the lord of the city look at more? Ye Kong also said in a wine glass, nothing like elixir, combat, or flashy treasures. The owner of the city is so old, it must be idle every day. I can't look for some treasures for fun or watching, maybe there is another way. Huang Yaolong nodded and praised, the younger friend spoke very well to me, and it was true. The beast monsters below always know cultivation and promotion, but they can't get too busy, so there is no way to watch and watch, so they heard Ye Kong's words, shook their heads and sighed, and took their treasures back. At this time, no one took out the treasure in the hall, which seemed a bit cold. Yaoshan stood up and said loudly, since you don't have any treasures to take out, then take out the treasures for the sake of throwing bricks. Yaoshin didn't take it out in a hurry, but ordered someone to clean up an open space on the big table, and then patted the storage bag, "Come out." Everyone flickered in front of their eyes, and only felt that a huge and dazzling thing appeared. As soon as the thing came out, it was instantly radiant, colorful, and bright. Yekong took a deep look, and now it turned out to be a tall coral, very beautiful, yellow and green, the surface of the brilliance flowing, bright and radiant. It is very addictive. Yaoshin said loudly, "This thing is in line with Yeziao's requirements. I want to talk about its function. I tell you, no, it can neither improve cultivation nor extend its longevity. Its only function is to look good," Yaoshin said, and he smiled proudly at Yekong. "Yeziao, do you think the lord of the city will give him a closer look?" Yekong shook his head. The crowd was weird, so they heard Yekong say, "This object will not make the lord of the city look more, this object will make the lord of the city look a lot more. I think the lord of the city will definitely put it in a prominent place every day, every time you see it, you will remember the person who sent it." Huang Yaolong was immediately overjoyed and said, "Yaoshin brother, it is really a treasure. Huang Mao wants it, you can make an offer." But Yaoshin shook his head at this time. "Lao Huang, do you think I still lack the spirit stone or the water of transformation? In fact, if you take out the medicine, it will just help you throw bricks and jade, and you don't want to sell it." In fact, Yaoshin originally wanted to sell it to Huang Yaolong. After all, this treasure coral, as he said, just looks good and has no practical value. But after hearing Yekong's remarks, he moved his mind. Since the lord of the city will be so cherished, why should he give up the great benefits of this day to Huang Yaolong? It's better to dedicate the treasure to the lord of the city. Presumably the reward of the lord of the city will not be small, maybe he can nod to the lord of the lord and fly to Huang Tengda. So at the critical moment, Yaoshin changed his mind and stopped selling. "Don't add me Q, people are full. Someone said to me, you can add my cloth, the address is, I don't know what cloth is, then you out. Bulletin Law is also a 3G product, you can log in using the GG number. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment." The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 922. 921 Find the Old Man. Huang Yaolong did not expect Yaoshin to say such a word, and immediately became furious, and immediately turned his face and said, "Why don't you want to sell it and do it? Do you want to play tricks?" Bai Ling, of course, helped Xianggong, and he stood up and said ruthlessly, "Lao Huang, I have a good intention for Xianggong. You do appreciate it, and you say such hurtful things. Is it because my husband and wife are afraid of you?" Huang Yaolong said angrily, "I don't care what your heart is, anyway, I stated in advance that as long as Huang sees the eye, the treasures taken out at this dedication conference must be sold." "You dream," Yaoshin raised his hand and quickly put away the treasure coral. Huang Yaolong saw the treasure coral disappeared and shouted, "Take out the treasure." "No." The two were deadlocked, and all the beast monsters underneath looked dumbfounded, and Yekong also touched his nose, his heart was in trouble, and his own ancestor was stingy. "This mouth is cheap, what is that exaggeration? They fight, won't they catch us?" Fortunately, at this moment, there was a laugh outside. "No noise, no sooner, why are you so nervous?" With this laughter, a flicker of the figure outside the big house, a thin little figure appeared with a sound of wind, between Huang Yaolong and Yaoshin. Teleport. Another monster in the metamorphosis period. Yekong frowned, and looked at Cao Junfan. The visitor is an old man, thin and small, and only talks about Yekong's chest. The old man was dressed in a shabby black suit, which was not only torn but also dirty, and Yekong and others noticed a peculiar smell. Monks rarely sweat and have no excretion, so it is not easy to get dirty in this state. Look at the old man's face, small nose, small eyes, small mouth, and small face. The facial features are crowded together. A sparse but long beard is left on the chin. If the appearance of the old man is described by one word, there is nothing more suitable than a thief. What made Yakong and others even more surprised was that the little old man was so amazing that he was a bit taller than Huang Yaolong Yaishan, which was obviously a late metamorphosis. As soon as the old man appeared, Huang Yaolong and Yaishan knew they couldn't do it, and they both groaned and sat down to drink. The female general named Bai Ling immediately took advantage of the woman and came to the old man, as if he could not smell the old man. The tired voice said, "Looking for the old, you have to decide for our couple." Yaishan saw Lao Wang's cold field here, so he took out the treasures, and wanted to attract everyone to offer treasures. Who knew that Lao Huang actually liked our treasures and wanted to buy them? Strong sell. Huang Yaolong said angrily, "Bai Ling, you have to keep your mouth off." Yaishan clearly wanted to sell it at the time. When he first came here, he said to me that he wanted to sell me something good. Yaishan shouted, "You only believe in female sex. I said it was for you to see a good thing. Why did you say you sold it? You talk nonsense, what?" Seeing that they were arguing again, the old man was busy pressing them and said, "Isn't it just a good-looking and useless base-hand butterfly? We are 1,000-year-old friendship, so we can turn our faces and pass on and be laughed by the younger generation." Huang Ye alongside, "Looking for the old, you don't know, I have a great use for that treasure, and I didn't ask him for nothing." Yaishan shouted, "If you are useful, I will not be useful. In this world, you don't want to buy it, others must sell it. There is no such reason." Huang Yaolong was furious again, pointing at Yaishan Road, "Dare you swear you didn't want to sell? You obviously listened to Yeziao's words, and you had a plan in your heart, huh? When will you not know? What old friend is really heart-wrenching measurement?" Yeziao, the old man frowned, then noticed Yakong and others around him. Taking the old man's cultivation as a basic practice, he basically ignored Monkjadan, so he didn't care. Just listening to Huang Yaolong, the old man immediately turned his yellow eyes. Yakong busily stood up and said, "I've seen Sun's elders, and here is Hikang, Yalong. This is his next friend, Cao Junfan, and his aunt, Cao Muse." Cao Junfan and Cao Mose quickly stood up. "Oh, it's from the main city. If you've seen the big market, sit down and sit down." The old man immediately became enthusiastic and dragged his chair, regardless of Huang Yaolong, and sat down next to Yakong. Yakong couldn't stand the old man's enthusiasm and odor. He held his breath and laughed, "No matter where I come from, I'll wait for the elders, and respect you." "Well." Sun Lao sniffed his nose, and laughed, laughing at himself, "What senior, don't hide from you, the old body is just a mouse." Yakong and others were astonished. No wonder the old man was so small and dirty, and he looked like that. It turned out to be a mouse demon. However, the old man can say frankly that this makes Yakong and others like it, and this old man is also a person with good grace. Cao Junfan raised his glass and said, "Looking for the old, the so-called all things have spirits, you can practice if you have spirits. Before you wait, you have to follow the path. Of course, I am waiting for seniors." Sun Lao sniffed his nose, and then laughed. "There is a sequence of smells, okay. Good. I haven't encountered such an interesting epigenesis for a long time, and it was a big mess." At present, Sun Lao even ignored Huang Yaolong and Yaishan to fight with Red Ears and talk with Yakong and others. This gave Yakong Kong a suspicious sinus. "How important is the three of you?" Sun said with a smile, "Yeziao went to Kangnan this time. I don't know what to gain." Yakong busy said, "It's a lot of gains, indeed. Oh, Sun Lao's yellow eyes turned on. But he heard Ye Kong raise his glass and said, between human beings, intrigue, fame, and power, the world is cold. Some people listen to the truth, no one believes the truth. Ye Kong shook his head and sighed, these are all gains from this trip. Although I won't get any treasures in Kangnan this time, if I can get these experiences, it will be the biggest gain. It turned out to be a harvest. Yes, yes, this kind of harvest is the real harvest. Others want to grab it, they can't grab it, the old man laughed. Although the old man is covering up well, he was tried by Ye Kong just now, and his greediness has been revealed. So Ye Kong laughed, pretending to be a mysterious whisper, in fact, I'm really not afraid of grabbing. The old man frowned and asked quickly, are you defending yourself? Ye Kong shook his head and smiled, no, there is no long thing in the lower body, of course, you are not afraid of grabbing it. This is one of the second. When I went out, my dad said, who wants to mess with you, my Ye family will do everything to help. Twitch it, dig its bones, pull your soul. The old man was a rat spirit, and was obviously startled. However, he laughed and said, I can't think of Ye Daio as a famous man. I don't know He Yan family, Ao family. Ye Kong owed himself decently, seemingly modestly, all are in-laws. Ah, the old man was clearly shocked by the words. Both the Yan family and the Ao family are descendants of the dragon family. The owner of the Black Dragon City is the Yan family. The Ye family is not easy. With Ye Kong's words, the old man was even more enthusiastic. Not only did he not want to fight Ye Kong's mind, he even offered to send some rare monster materials. Ye Kong is also generous, patting the old man's shoulder and said, Lao Suan, go to Heilongchinj in the future. Remember to go to the younger brother, where is Ye's family? Just ask someone on the street. They are in a relationship, Huang Yaolong and Yaoshan are really going to fight. The old man stood up and scolded, noisy, in front of so many juniors, Lao Huang, stop arguing, the treasure you need is wrapped in the old man. Huang Yaolong heard the old man's words and stopped speaking. Everyone knows that the old man has the most treasures. If the old man is willing to help, Huang Yaolong will not have to fight the idea of base hand butterfly. The situation eased, but Yaoshan and Bai Ling did not feel like eating anymore, and immediately got up to leave. The old man said, let's your husband and wife stay in Huishan village for one night, and I'll talk to you later. Yaoshan, they listened to the old words and nodded. The little monsters below didn't dare to stay too much either. The banquet cannot continue. Huang Yaolong was unhappy, snorted, and cursed, 2 goals, 1 failed, really annoying old man. Ye Kong and others also stood up and said, General Huang is stunned. In the future, please go to the Black Dragon City as a guest, and we will be on the road. It has been a long time since I returned, and my heart is like an arrow. Huang Yaolong did not expect that they would leave at night. He said busily, let's go tomorrow during the day. I will send someone to see you. Recently, a few newly transformed leopards have robbed people and so on, everyone is afraid of leopard bandits. Ye Kong was determined to leave without escort, and Huang Yaolong was not good to stay. He took out a blank jade card, recorded the route to the town, and handed it to Ye Kong. Ye Kong and others thanked again and left the village overnight. Ye Kong, as soon as they left, Huang Yaolong invited Suneo into the back room and couldn't help but say, looking for the old, if it weren't for you, I would definitely teach Yaoshan and the female cat today. Huh, take out the things, he even took it back. The old man raised his hand and grabbed the citron on the table, and laughed, it's just a piece of base hand butterfly. Thank you, but you're so embarrassed to say that you are really over and over. Obviously you are in front of you, you do nt know how to take it, but you want it, I fought, and I do nt know how you got here at this age. Zhongbao is in front of you, Huang Yaolong froze immediately, and asked quickly, finding an old man, how can there be Chongbao, you can say more clearly. Slap. The old man rested the teacup in his hand on the coffee table, and then looked up and sneered. The kid with the last name, yeah, has more than one treasure. Ah, Huang Yaolong opened his mouth wide, thinking a little still, but shook his head, no. The old man hummed coldly, why not? Someone else will make a mistake, the old man's nose is right. Don't forget that although the old man is a mouse, he is only a treasure hunter. Even if his treasure is hidden, he will never escape the old man knows. Huang Yaolong was suddenly surprised, then you don't say it early, hurry up. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 923. Robbery of 922. Slow, the old man shook his hand and interrupted, I just checked the kid's words. According to him, he is the young master of the Ye family in Heilongqing, and Ye family, Yan family, and Ao family are all relatives. Xianxia Ao's family is in-laws. Huang Yaolong took a sigh of cold air and smiled bitterly. Looking for the old, aren't you hurting me? Offending such a family, Huang, 10 of my head is not enough to die. Coward as a mouse, the old man was a mouse, but scolded others as a mouse. He said slowly, he said yes? Have you heard of the Ye family? Huang Yaolong shook his head, I rarely go to the Black Dragon City once, and I'm not familiar with it there, but, this kind of thing, isn't that kid Ye dare to talk about? How dare you talk nonsense? The little guy with the last name Yezinken is well known, very cunning, said the old man in the cold light. Huang Yaolong, as a weasel, obviously wasn't too brave, and waved his hand and sat down. This kind of thing still has to be done. Who would dare mess with Yan's family in this 1 million? I haven't gotten away with the treasure? No, it's better to trust it than to trust it. You are really as timid as a mouse, Sun Lao cursed, blinking his yellow eyes, and leaned his head to ask, Yan's family is a dragon. Pure dragon. The illegitimate child of the lord of the city has not been recognized for so many years, it can be seen how severe the rules of the dragon clan are. Do you think the Yan family will be married to the human family? Huang Yaolong froze. Looking for the old and saying, the Ao family is also a dragon family, and is very proud. It is said that the Ao family refuses to accept Yan's family. If it was not for the master of the city, the Ao family would have replaced it, then what do you think, Ye family would? Are they all related? There are always loopholes in nonsense. This old age is also savvy. He was not bluffed by Ye Kong, but he clearly grasped 2 of them. Huang Yaolong suddenly became furious and said, this kid is simply swaying and cheating on Huang Yaolong's head, and I caught them back and searched their soul. Suneo pulled Huang Yaolong and said, why are you so impatient? I haven't finished it yet. He pressed Huang Yaolong on a chair and said, although we can't figure out whether this Ye family is in Heilongqing, it's very powerful, but I think the kid is acting. The old man with his beard moaned and groaned. In short, I think this Ye Kong is not an ordinary person. Even if the Ye family has nothing to do with the Yanjiao family, it may be there is a lot to come. Listening to this, Huang Yaolong shuddered again, crying and laughing, looking for the old man. You can say well once, this will come for a while, but for a while, my heart will go up and down for a while, it is really not a taste. The old man with a smile laughed, Mo Pan, the old man is already preparing. Just let them leave in front of everyone, this is the preparation, even if they have a 3-pronged or 2-pronged, what does it have to do with me? Oh, how is it? Huang Yaolong nodded. It turned out that just letting Ye Kong wait for someone to leave was a disguise. When the time came, he left Huaishan village and started. Even if the Ye family really had some strength, Huang Yaolong could push it. The old man laughed again and rushed over and said, isn't it that the leopard bandit has been very fierce lately, ha 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 ha. You mean when they get to the area where the leopard bandits invade? Huang Yaolong also understood, and laughed immediately. But after the laughter, he yelled again, "Those leopard bandits are also very wicked, just in case they meet them." The old man laughed again and said, "That's why I left the Yaoshan couple. Huang Yaolong was unwilling. I had a big fight with the Yaoshan couple just now, but I still haven't eliminated them. Now I have to cooperate with them, some of them are unacceptable." The old man said, "The strength of the leopards is also good. If only the two of us are alone, the flesh of the mouth might be lost. It is better to bring them to Yaoshan. After all, they are all acquaintances. According to my feelings, that kid is probably bought by a big family of Heilongchinch city in Kangnan. The treasures and spirits that are bound to be brought back this time will be rich, and they will be divided into Yaoshan at that time." Huang Yaolong nodded. At present, he can only cooperate with Yaoshan. The old man stood up and said, "Be prepared, I'll tell Yaoshan them." At the moment, outside the village, the moonlight illuminates the flower field, the wind at night is light and the clouds are light. However, Yekong and others drove the magic weapon forward, and several light beams passed over the neat flower field and disappeared into the sky. "Yekong, please fly slowly. What are you anxious? I think those beast monsters are very polite. The old man also sent us several good materials." Cao Junfan followed behind Yekong and said. Yekong said, "Although they are very polite on the surface, but they are looking for an old man. I always think that he is not a good person. He must have some plans for us. If I didn't bluff him, then maybe he would do something to us in Huaishan village." Cao Junfan was startled and asked, "Isn't it?" Cao Muse overtook and said, "Anyway, these are demon repairs, we still have to be careful." Yekong thought about it, and released the Howling Wolf King again. Although there is a map given by Huang Yaolong, I can't fully believe it. It is only safer to let the Xiaofeng Wolf King seduce the Liuyanling card with demon power. However, the Liuyanling card points to the Black Dragon City, not a town with a teleportation array, so Yekong only received the Howling Wolf King, combined with the token guidance and the direction of the map, trying not to follow the route provided by Huang Yaolong. "Stop!" Hua Tianzhong suddenly flew out two light rays, blocking Yekong from the route they passed. Yekong, they were worried about looking for old people, but they didn't expect others to follow them. Standing in front of a pair of men and women, the male demon bears a huge head, two antlers on the head are particularly eye-catching. And the woman twisted the waist of the water snake, which was Madame Black Python who spoke before. Yekong stopped and smiled. "Is the rush just now? Did the two suddenly remember that they haven't bid farewell to us yet, and then wait for us to say goodbye?" Mrs. Black Python giggled. "Yedao is really humorous. That's right, we just want to say goodbye to you, by the way, haha, get some entanglement from you." Yekong also laughed. "It seems your farewell is really special, but why are so many people not robbing us?" Mrs. Black Python smiled. "Of course you are robbed, you are from Kangnan, presumably the storage bag is full." Yekong and Cao Junfan looked at each other. Such a simple matter, these guilty period demon repairs all understand, how can the old demon during the metamorphosis period not understand? It seems that in this line, they are really dangerous. Jinjiao sneered, "What nonsense to them, boy. You leave all the storage bags, we think we can put you on a journey." Yekong laughed, "Fancy our treasures. To be honest, I also like your ancient treasures. I was still worried that I couldn't find you, but I didn't expect you to come to your door. If you want to be beautiful, then whoever is more powerful." Jinjiao snorted and immediately shot. The Golden Horn and Madame Black Python are both beast monsters in the later period of Dandan, and they are also the ones with relatively strong attack power. In particular, the Golden Horn has an ancient treasure and claims to have some strength, which is why they dare to rob Yekong and their three knots. Brother Dan. The Golden Horn was originally intended to deal with Yekong, and MRS Black Python against Cao Muse. Like Cao Junfan, they are not considered at all. But who knows, Cao Junfan came up to the golden horns and said, "This pair of antlers is left to me, and I just got a formula of antlers spirit wine recently." When the golden horn was so despised, he was furious and shouted, "Little monk in the early days of Dan, you look for death. Yaoshiu's attack is not the same as humans. They prefer to attack by themselves." The golden horn roared and turned into a prototype, and a strange animal appeared. Its pair of antlers is golden, as if made of gold. Its body is round and thick like a buffalo, a pigtail is hung behind its buttocks, and its forehoofs are horseshoes. "Not a deer, but a golden-horned moose," Cao Junfan said in surprise. "No wonder the golden horn is so helpful and fearless. It turns out that he is not as simple as an ordinary deer. The golden-horned elk was originally a good monster. Even if he didn't cultivate, he could fight Monk Jadan with his own strength. But now he has cultivated to the late stage of Dandan, and his strength is naturally different. Kid, I'm afraid, let alone you. Even in the early days of transformation, I can fight with Golden Horn." Golden Horn laughed proudly. But Cao Junfan is also a newborn calf who is not afraid of tigers and does not back away. He sneered, "Afraid of you? I just think your antlers are more valuable." The golden horn was furious. "Then come and get it." Encountering the strength of the golden horn, Cao Junfan did not dare to have any reservations, and spit out the antibiochemical dragon sword to fight with the golden horn. The golden horn started, and MRS Black Python was not idle. She giggled, "Yedayu, the slaves show you my body." After the Black Python finished speaking, there was a strong enchantment all over her body, which enveloped her slender body like black smoke, and then a black and white big python appeared in front of Yekong. The large python is covered with fine and bright scales, the body with a thick water tank, and the triangular head is much smaller than the body. The empty, red-branched long tongue spits out from time to time. The black python smiled viciously. "Yedayu, what do you think of the slave's body? Do you really like it?" "Like," Yekong laughed, "I like to vomit." "You wanna die?" When Yekong wanted to fight with MRS Black Python, Cao Muse shouted, "Black Python is going to be crazy, I will fight you." When Cao Muse opened her mouth, a curved knife spit out of Sakura's mouth. This was her magic weapon, Lu Magian. Do not look at Cao Muse easily shot, but shot strength is also good. Magic weapon, spell, and soon they were evenly matched against the Black Python. Cao Junfan and Cao Muse fought, but left Yekong behind. This made him laugh and cry, as if he was the least capable. However, he also knew that Cao Junfan and Cao Muse breathed a sigh of relief in Sunjiakan. So far there is no place to vent, just the golden horn and Black Python, let them discourage. Yekong ridiculed himself, "Then I will let you go."